You're listening to the Gettin Salty Experience podcast.
Uh-oh.
What up?
Now Kevin's frozen.
Here we go.
Hey, look who it is. It's Ruffy. Go ahead, Ruffy. Take us in, man.
Fine, I could do that job. It just took me, that's why we're late, because my computer's now rebooting, and literally right before, Koobs just now had the same issue. So I can't even introduce him right now. So Pete, who are we brought by today?
Oh, it's a pleasure talking to you, Mr. Refrano. All's going well here. Obviously, behind the scenes, we had two computers go down literally seconds before the show started, and one right when we started. But you'll be happy, all of you will be happy to know that we're brought to you by GettinSaltyApparel.com, guys. And maybe you guys should probably start buying a little bit more so we can afford better internet in our houses. I'm not so sure if we're going to be able to continue this way. But if, in all seriousness, guys, if you guys are looking for the coolest firefighter apparel and accessories like this t-shirt here, or, well, I guess Kev was wearing another one before, but you guys know the deal by now. Shot glasses, all that wonderful stuff. Head on over to GettinSaltyApparel.com. Thank you. And look who's back. Stand by.
And away we go. Can you have any worse start to a goddamn show? Really, honestly.
That was brutal.
I told you not to call me in.
Where do we pick off? Let me start off like it's never happened before. Welcome to another episode of the Gettin Salty Experience podcast, the only podcast in the whole wide world that brings the Firehouse kitchen table to you. As always, I'm joined by Longshoreman Louie, fresh off his stint out in the ocean. Ruffy used to work on the docks.
Union's been on strike.
He's down on his. We got Pandemic Pete back in action.
Shalom.
Louis turning his phone. I want to vomit.
Hey, you can call me Antibodies Pete because I am now
Antibody
immune, baby.
Pete.
3 to 6 months immune.
For show. Holy shit, Pete! You told what we were brought to by today, or what?
We already got past that, man. We're
we
good
did.
now.
Oh, awesome. So did you talk about our esteemed guest yet?
We have not.
No, but we
need one important thing. This is a prestige. First, what I want to do is tell everybody: if you have any young children, get them out of the room now, because this is going to be one of those shows. I'm just telling you right now. I see how it's going out. So, any small kids, get them out of the house, get them out of the room, or put earmuffs on them, because it's the first time and only time we're going to have not one but two words of the day. And Pete,
oh really? Oh no! Oh, really?
Yeah, man.
Okay, stand by.
Oh, you didn't look at your. Fuck.
You know,
he didn't look at his text, obviously.
No, I got it.
Oh, all right.
And sheetrock. That's one word of the day. Tony.
Hello.
I guess I got to explain that one.
Hold on.
Hold on. We got a second word of the day.
And second word of the day is cowards. There it is. Oh my God.
Hey, where's everybody's name on there? Why is everybody's name gone? What happened?
I don't know.
Holy fuck! Can we speak worse?
You know what? It's all falling apart, man. There it is. As we put up the word of the day, stop breaking my balls.
All right. So without any further ado, let me introduce our guest, Captain Tony VARRIALE. Oh man, Cap, welcome to the show, bro. Oh man,
nice.
I have got this many calls on one guest in a very long time. I got to tell you.
Everything's all bad. It's all bad.
It's all bad today. Cap, welcome to the show.
You got to be a pretty tree to get all the little birds that are chirping between me and Koobs.
Holy mackerel! I'm getting a lot of them. I'm getting a lot of people calling me, so you must be a very popular guy, Cap.
Some 50-50.
Yeah. Hey, not everybody can love you. You know,
That's
somebody
true.
loves you. You know, but I'm getting all good stuff from you. So we'll dive right in. Where you from, first of all? Let's get a little background on you, Cap. Where'd you grow up? Where you from originally?
I grew up in East New York, Brooklyn, on Fountain and Liberty.
No
I
shit.
didn't know I lived literally around the corner from Richie Dumick.
Look at
And
that.
I moved out of there in the mid '60s,
Uh-huh.
and then I moved to Woodhaven, Queens, and then when I lived in Richmond Hill, and then moved to Valley Stream. I bought my first house in Valley Stream.
Wow. So what year did you move into Richmond Hill in Queens? How old were you?
That's when I got married. 74.
74, Richmond Hill, Queens. All right.
Yeah.
A lot of Queen Anne's in that area, right?
Oh,
In Richmond Hill.
Yeah,
Beautiful homes.
predominantly. Yeah.
Beautiful homes over there. And then where you're at now? You're still in Valley Stream?
No, I'm in Belmore, right on the border of Belmore and Merrick. In fact, the Merrick Woods trees hang over my property. So I can say I live in Merrick Woods.
I can say Merrick Woods, very upper crusty area, if you know what I'm saying. You have to cap. How's your portfolio? I would say strong.
Strong to very strong.
Very strong.
I'm a disabled American on a fixed income.
Oh, he's got the line right down. I love that. Living paycheck to paycheck, right?
We got the floors are made of Bolivian wormwood, and the we picked up the pews from a Siemens chapel in Manichook.
Yeah.
I whittled it out of wood.
Yeah. All right. So, what got you into the fire department? You have any family in the fire department, or?
No, my father was a New York City police officer, and I was around 15 years old. He got me my first job, which was working on an ice truck. It's a brutal job. I worked 6 days a week, 2 in the morning to 8 at night. So the following summer, he goes, "I got that job for you." I go, "What job?" He goes, "The ice truck." I go, "I don't want to work on that." He goes, "Well, you got 2 weeks to get a job, or because you're not hanging out with your stupid friends." You know what I mean? and in East New York, it was very easy to get in trouble.
That's right.
So make a long story short, I got a job in a plumbing shop, and that was the beginning of my plumbing career. I graduated high school. I got into Plumbers Local number 1. And everything was going fine. I had my journeyman's card, and I had a little kid born in '75, and then the economy crashed. And I had taken all the civil service tests in '71, '70, the police, the sanitation. And my father goes, "Whatever you do, if you take it, don't become a cop. You don't want to be exposed to that." Now think about that. He was in the 50s and 60s. So anyway, he goes, "Take the fire department if they call you." He goes, "All they do is worry about what are they going to eat for dinner, peas and carrots with the roast beef or just carrots." So I get called in. I actually was notified in '74 or '75 that I was going to be hired, and then they had the hiring freeze. So now I'm driving my truck one day, 3 years later, and the fire department hired 350 guys. And I'm like, what happened to me? They had sent it to my old address. So I got in the second class of '77. I had some great guys in that class. Al Hay, not Al Hay, the head of SOC. It just went blank. He just retired. Donnie Haid.
Oh, Donnie Haid.
Yeah, Jerry Tracy.
Patty Brown. Yes.
No, I don't think Patty was in my class. Might have been before or after.
Oh.
But so the fire department calls me and I said, I was only working 3 days a week and whatever I can do on the side on my own. I said, all right, I'll take this job, and then construction gets better, I'll go back. Then I realized that I'm going to work 8 times a month, 24 hours, better pension. Not that the plumbers union wasn't good. So I decided to stay. And they assigned me to Engine 67, Washington Heights. And the first day tour has a similarity as my last tour. My first night tour was, first let me tell you, I walk in on a day tour. They tell us to go to the firehouse, bring a cake, the usual nonsense. So I knock on the door. No one's there. One of the guys comes in and opens the door. He goes, the kitchen's up on the 3rd floor. I go, okay. Go up to the 3rd floor. Now, this is right after the layoffs. Guys are angry. I go upstairs. The engine was out in the Bronx. And I go up to the top. Probationary firefighter, VARRIALE reporting for duty. There's a guy sitting there with a glass like this. He looks up to me and he goes, who'd you screw to get this shit shot? The first word said to me in the fire department. Now, the reason that is because 67 engine was closed in the crisis, but because they were first through the Columbia Presbyterian, they kept them open. But all they did was relocate them. And in the 70s, which I ended up loving, you went to either the Bronx or you went down to Harlem. And when you went down to those places, especially in the Bronx, We used to relocate to 60 engine, 83, 82. You caught a job. I mean, you know, my first, well, I'll tell you about my first tour. So my first tour is a night tour. And we have one run, 8:30 in the morning, overtime. The guys are rubbing my head. This guy's a good luck charm. I have no idea what they're talking about. I don't know what the fire department does. Go to fire maybe once a year, even though I'm passing burned out buildings everywhere. My second night tour was the beginning of the next 3 or 4 years. It was like 6:30, boom, Audubon Avenue, 179 should go up with second due to 93 and 45. And I remember it's blowing out the windows, but it wasn't like TV. There's no music, there's no crackling sound. It was quiet, but it was chaos. So we get that job, and of course I'm the doorman, and I'm feeding a line, and I'm taking a feed. The smoke is down. I'm like, holy shit, this is horrible, And so after the fire, the guys go, "You did a good job. There's one thing you forgot." I go, well, "What did I do wrong?" You were on 93's line.
My mistake.
So we take up from that, and we're on the back step. I'm holding on for dear life. These guys are sitting there talking. They get this bam, 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 4 buzzes. I go, "What's that?" And they start putting their coats on the back step. We're flying down to Harlem. We go down to Harlem. We pull up. There's this 5-story building, 4 floors of fire. The lieutenant goes over to the command post, and he's talking. I'm sitting there looking at this. Holy shit, look at this. He goes, "Guys, we're taking a line up to the 4th floor." And I go, "We're going in there?" He goes, "That's what we get paid the big bucks for, boy." I go, "Holy shit." When we come out of that, I go, "What am I," like Richie said, "what am I doing?" And for the next 3 or 4 years, it was pretty much like that every tour. And the problem with 67 engine was we can go out, we go to the Bronx, and they would, we go to one fire from the Bronx, they take us up, relocate us somewhere else. We come back in the morning, and we'd have a run with the companies in Washington. Hey, great night. And we're sitting there like, oh my God, with 3 jobs in the Bronx, or you go down to Harlem. And so there was a couple of guys there. This guy, Eddie King, old time, a salty dog. One of the best firemen I ever met in my life. He
was no coward, I can tell you that, right?
He was no coward. No coward. Oh, yeah, hold on. This guy, one time we get a fire, I'm backing him up, and the guy behind me is Billy Labasi, a phenomenal firefighter. And we're going in, and we're burning. We're burning up, and I'm feeding the line to him. And Billy grabs me, goes, "Stay right there, kid. Nobody goes where that maniac's going," right? Puts out the fire, come out. His ears are burnt. His shoulders are burnt. We get back to quarters. And I go, "You going to get some medical test?" He goes, "Listen, go down to the corner store and get me a little, allegedly, get me a pint of that vodka. Not the good shit, the Gorgie vodka." And that was it. He didn't tap out. His ears were filled with blisters. He popped the blisters. So the key word of the day for the fire department is dedication. And as we go through the night, I hope to reveal like the dedication that I've saw in my 35 years of average guys from all kinds of backgrounds, and the things that they do. People will never know unless you were there. You have no idea.
Yeah, man, it's like ordinary guys doing extraordinary deeds, right?
Yeah, unbelievable.
That sounds like a shirt. Holy mackerel! You might come out with a shirt like that.
You are a genius, sir.
Just to give you, like, most of the guys that I was there with were World War II Korean veterans. I mean, hardcore. My captain, Jack Denning, got to mention him, at the time had 37 years, mostly in Harlem. 37 years, he never tapped out. I mean, we were in a job where the building collapsed. He hurt his back and went right back to full duty. I'll never forget, we get a job in Harlem, and it's roaring, and this was his words: "Calm down, lads. It's only fire. Move in there. Kick the shit out of it." World War II Marine. And I want to bring this in because it relates to me about 20 years later. You had to knock on his door, "Who is it? Come on in," And, old school. And so we get another job one time, and it was a project. And I'm young. I'm 25. I'm running up the stairs. I got the roll-ups, and I go past him, and I look back, and he's like, "Oh, coming up, slow but sure." I go, "Cap, you need a hand? Get up there. I'll be up there." Well, 20 years later, something very similar happened to me. But I had to mention him. He was a phenomenal Marine, Okinawa, Tarawa, and he wanted to be a priest, believe it or not. And he didn't become a priest because he said, I could never be a priest for what I did in World War II. And these guys are no longer with us. But these are the guys that broke me in. And what I loved about them, and I like to bring it up too, is, we would bitch about nonsense, and they would just look at you. You got a problem? What? That's not a problem, Then they start talking. One guy was in the tank corps, all kinds of crazy stories.
A problem was when the door opens on Normandy and guys next to you getting their shit blown off. That's a problem.
They were phenomenal guys. Yeah, so
we say that all the time, Cap. We say, God forbid the kids of today had to fight the Nazis back in the day. We all be speaking German right now, for Christ's sake.
I disagree. My son was a Marine for 8 years, and my stepson is active. He was a Marine, got wounded in Afghanistan, and he's a private contractor. He's actually going back to Iraq. I've met a lot, and I have 2 cousins. My one cousin I'm the oldest of 19 grandchildren.
Holy!
My youngest cousin was in boot camp the day before 9/11. And he went to his sergeant. You think we're going to see anything? He goes, kid, wrong generation. But we'll be ready. This guy's done more combat. He's now a major in the Marine rating.
Wow.
And his brother is a sergeant in Mossad. And I've met through them. There's a lot of young, dedicated people out there. We only get to see the pink-haired people, but they're not.
That's good to know, though, at least,
Yeah, you meet these guys, the dedication. And when I was the captain of 302, we had a lot of fundraisers for wounded veterans. And the guys I met, they got no legs or are wounded, and they're more positive than we are,
Yeah.
There's a good bunch of young guys out there and women out there. They're dedicated. So anyway, had to bring that in there.
Somebody's starting picking a fight with you already. Yeah. Somebody wants to know why Captain VARRIALE's company always got beat in by engine 275.
Not when I was working, and I know who that is. That's Tuggy. Tuggy, put the cotton in your ears,
yeah, Tuggy.
Guess what? My son is now a lieutenant in that company. My former son. I can't recognize him anymore as a son. Sorry.
Is it this guy? Hold on a second here. Hold on.
Cheeseman said, "Don't start, Tuggy." I guess everybody knows Tuggy.
This guy right here, is he the lieutenant now?
He's the lieutenant in 275. Yeah.
Beautiful, bad shot. Wow, look at him there.
What a shot!
That's my study group.
Jerry Tracy.
I said on the left is Ed Garrity,
who
we lost on 9/11. Jerry Tracy, I think you've interviewed him. Richie Alley's the only one that made deputy chief, and Kevin Cassidy, who died of 9/11 cancer. So great study group. We all were top of the list in spite of our best efforts. That's probably 1982. I'm in 217 there. Yeah. Eddie was in 102.
Speaking of which, on 217, I got you on the back of the rig here, potentially, I think. On the back step.
It could be me. I can't tell.
All right, let's not skip to that because
okay.
I want to ask you a question. You said you were getting a lot of your work down in Harlem and in the Bronx. They weren't doing much work in the Heights back then, or
no, they were. In the 170s it was starting to go, and Mayor Koch came in and he flooded the area. I think it was 79 with the Red Cap program. It was fire marshals because he said if we can't save Washington Heights, then we can't save anything. So it was actually the first area where they tried to stop the arson plague. I mean, people have to realize that today they don't know. I mean, they had half the Bronx burned down, Williamsburg, Bushwick, East New York, Brownsville, half of Harlem, the Lower East Side. If you said they were the busiest companies, no one would argue. That was all incinerated. It had to stop, and the city was a mess.
It was, yeah, no doubt. They had that program too, where if you got burned out of your apartment, right, they would put you up in a new place. So
a story or something.
You pull up and people would be out with all their belongings on the side of the curb, right?
Yeah.
So they were incentivizing burning yourself out of your apartment.
It was a perfect storm. If you owned a 6-story building in the South Bronx, okay, you bought it in the 1920s or something like that, and they gave you a balloon mortgage. Of course, the balloon mortgage expands in the 60s. Now the neighborhoods are going down. People, not paying their rents and stuff like that. So the landlords had two choices: abandon it. You're insured by 5 insurance companies. You're trying to sell it, let's say, for $1 million. You can't sell it for $500,000, but you're insured for $5 million. So we used to say, why are the fires always on the top floors? Because if they cut the roof, it was a total.
Right.
So in '79, they changed the laws. You could only have one insurance, and if the fire department deemed it suspicious, you didn't collect. Fires dropped about 20% that first year.
But you were right. That was the perfect storm, and that's why those
You had
war
civil
years.
unrest. You had the Vietnam War. It was amazing.
Yeah, the fiscal mess in the city. It was a goddamn mess. And
Same policies that they're trying to introduce now, but they are introduced.
yeah, no doubt. All right, so you spent some time up in 67, and you decide to transfer to Brooklyn, 217.
I wanted to go to Brooklyn. I grew up in Brooklyn. So I originally went to Engine 214, ladder 111. And I go to see this Captain Petty Pender, Irish brogue and everything. So I give him my paper, and he goes, "Oh, sure, lad. Glad to have you here." Pete Rice was a lieutenant in 111 at the time. And, of course, being inexperienced, not knowing what to say, he goes, "You wouldn't be thinking of coming to the truck, would you?" And I go, "Yeah, eventually." Pender goes, "You'll never see the doors of this place."
Wrong answer.
Yeah, wrong answer, exactly.
Your time is
You hit that one wrong.
Wrong, exactly.
Hold on. I get it. Here we go.
Here we go.
Wrong. And he did the wrong thing.
So
he did the wrong thing.
Wow. So you would have wound up at 214, 111 eventually.
right. Well, yeah, eventually in 111. But I'm doing a plumbing job, and the guy's brother is he was DeVita's driver, John Columbia. He was a fireman in 217. So he goes, "You want to come to Brooklyn?" He goes, "I'll just call Jimmy Boyle up and you'll be there." I was there the next door to 217. Now, this is great. My first day tour. Talk about an impression. I walk in. The first guy I see there smoking a cigarette, puffing at me, is Jimmy Savastano, may he rest in peace. And he goes, I go, "How you doing, Tony?" I just transferred. "Yeah, great." And I go, "Oh, me and this guy ain't going to get along." But we became great friends. So I walk in the kitchen. They're all in there and they're talking. "Hey, welcome aboard, blah, blah, blah." And there's this skinny guy sitting in the corner in a T-shirt. You know, I'm not a probie. I got 3 years now. I'm a veteran, right? So they go, "Oh, that's the captain." I go, "Yeah, right. You're the captain and I'm the chief, you know." Then we're talking, laughing around, and this guy, the skinny guy, goes upstairs. "The captain wants to see you upstairs, Tony." I go upstairs. And, "Who is it?" The skinny guy with the white T-shirt, Steve Hessian, became the first division commander. He goes, "Good impression, Tony." Like that. So, it didn't start off great that day at all.
So they were single engine, but they run in with 214, right?
214, 230, 235, 218.
Great spot, man.
277.
Perfect home over there. 111's right in the middle of all of them.
My first.
Hey, Louis, real quick, guys. Sorry, Louis, if you wanted to bounce out and come back in on the system.
Waiting for it to load up, Pete. It's almost there.
All right, 10-4. I just
Good thing we didn't wait for him.
No, I did it on the phone. That's what I had to do. Sorry, Tone.
all good.
That's all right. So in 217, you know, we got Jimmy Boyle and his campaign. So he makes president. And his night that he made president, we had the whole division was out in front of quarters. This young guy comes in, Pat Waters, who got another one we lost on 9/11.
Oh, we work with Patty Waters.
Yeah,
good kid. He walks in, and it's his first night to it. It's a chaos. And we got all these companies there, and then we go out, we catch a third alarm with 230. 230 was phenomenally busy engine. And the whole night we're up, it's party time. You know how, I don't have to explain to you what was going on.
Allegedly, back in the day.
Yeah, so the next morning we said to him, "It's usually not this quiet, Patty. It's usually it was dragging." Okay, should we wait?
No, keep going, man. Here, he's coming right back.
Yeah.
Look at this. Look at this.
Oh, there he goes. Look at him.
So
Louis the Longshoreman. Oh, there he goes again. He's back. He's back.
this is chaos, like my career.
He needs to feed the hamsters a little more seed.
What is CAPT? 230 was a single engine on Park, right?
Yeah, we ran in second with them all the time.
Yeah, I think
we were first two, they were second.
Yeah, I'll wait for Louis. I don't know. Yeah, we got to wait for him.
All right. So anyway,
What street was 217 on? They were on
DeKalb Avenue between Lewis and Sumner.
Oh, that's a great spot, man.
Yeah. So anyway, we wait for Louis.
No, keep going, Nick.
Yeah.
We'll catch. Here he is. He's coming back in.
Okay.
But keep going, man. No worries.
Okay. So I remember, none of us like BI, right? Finding BI, going out on BI, but
Louis loves it.
yeah, Eric Dumick did too. But
Dumick loved BI.
how important it was, and this is where I learned that from this incident, where you use BI as a learning situation. So we go
Nice.
BI on this corner of Lewis, where Lewis and Broadway come in. Okay, all the entrances on Broadway for the second floor was a mixed occupancy. Stores on the first floor and second floor was resident. All the entrances to the upstairs were on Broadway except this corner building. And we find that the entrance is actually on Lewis in the back. Sure enough, a month later, we go up and we check the layout. It's great. So a month later, Lewis and Myrtle comes in. We're first to pull up. Everybody's pulling onto Broadway. I go to the captain, Jerry Klein at the time. This is a little later with the session. He goes, I go, Cap, the entrance to that's blowing out 4 windows in Broadway and on the side, on exposure 2 side. I go, we go up we got the fire. And he goes, you better be right. I go, believe me, Cap. Yeah. So we go up, sure enough, we get water. The 3-5 battalions coming down Broadway. He sees all the fire. He told us a story later on. He goes, I was about to transmit a second alarm. He goes, all of a sudden I saw 1 window, 2 windows, 3, 5 out. To us, it was like practice. We come out, and what a great job! You guys are the best. Never told them that we knew the layout. We knew where everything was. Just said, we're a little sharper than you guys. That's all, But
Dumick is right. BI pays off.
I used it, especially when I went to Manhattan. I used it as a training thing, and it's come in handy where you at least learn the layout of a building and stuff like that.
Hey, Tom, was Eric Allen there at that time?
Yeah, well, Eric. Oh my God, I tortured Eric as a probie. And one night, it's about 3 a.m, he had to watch. And Eric comes up, I hear a knock on it. He opens the door and he goes, V, I don't care if you're tougher than me. I don't care we're going to have to fight. And I threw the pillow at him and said, get downstairs. He left the watch and everything. I got him right to the brink where he was going to.
And he's one of the nicest, to get him, he's one of the nicest guys, When he came to 288, he came to 288 as one of the senior guys when we first started, and then he ended up transferring over to Squad 18, and unfortunately he passed away in 9/11.
And we used to call him Eric the Dread. He had these broken romances, and then he finally
he did, right?
He meets this wonderful woman, and I went to his wedding, and I think she was pregnant when he died, something like that.
Yeah.
Sad story. Great guy.
He was such a nice
thing about
guy.
him, though, he was always arguing with his wife in the pole hole in the phone for hours. He would be arguing with him. I heard you also broke in Deputy Chief Cucurulo.
Yes, I did.
Right? Yeah. Oh yeah, he said.
Oh yeah,
he says.
And I tortured him. Me and Savastano were like the king.
He said that. He said you tortured him. You were you were a good ball breaker, but you broke him in the right way.
And then when I was a captain in Manhattan, all of a sudden the battalion chief maybe he was the deputy at that time, I don't remember. And he comes in, he tells the house, deputy in quarters, roll call. I get there. I said, Mark, I might be your first hookup. I'm giving you a roll call. I can't do it, Mark.
I can't do it.
He goes, I studied till you give me a roll call. He said, I go, all right, out of respect for the rank. I had the guys line up, I gave him a salute.
That's great.
Yeah, I also heard from a little birdie that you like to wear tight Levi's, Pete. I think we have a picture of him. Don't we, Pete?
Yeah, we do. Hold on a second. We have a picture of you and your whole crew back then.
What are you, a hipster? You're a hipster?
Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
My words, sir.
You have the Huff the Pooh shirt working?
Oh, yeah, man. Yep.
Look at that. Those white pants are really becoming.
I never wore white pants.
And slip-on shoes. I was told you like to wear slip-on shoes in the Firehouse.
I did. Yeah, and I did wear belt bottoms when I was young.
Hey, Cap, I got to say, like Coobs was saying, we got a lot of phone calls. I mean, I haven't even touched any of the stories yet because we're not up to that spot yet. But
I can imagine. Yeah,
you better get your A game on because it's coming.
Listen, if they don't talk about you, they don't love you, right?
So then, I was studying and I wanted to go, get some truck work. So I got over to 111.
Wait, before you get to going to 111, I heard you got into some fist fights with 214.
No, you're not some tough Tony, are you?
Oh, look at Pete. He's on his
Come on, man.
Allegedly, a couple of incidences there.
A couple of them? I heard that from a little birdie, the same little birdie that said there's no guy in the job with more company pride than this man right here. And you get the fist fights at 214. It's just so funny how you went over 111.
Yeah.
Well, it's wherever you're at that time. Wherever you're at.
Wherever I at was the place to be, I guess.
That's it. Once you're there, that's it. That's the game, man.
It was a competitive area. It was all good companies, and one thing that really impressed me wasn't me in the fight, but Joe Ebert, great guy, great chief later on, and he was a captain of 214. So we're out on a baloney box, right up the block. D. Calvin Lewis Brownstone is rolling. 214 gets in first, though. I got the nozzle. We're coming up the second line, and Lieutenant Kevin Munnelly, and we're coming up, and we were gonna whatever they weren't gonna do, we were gonna go out. And Ebert gets to the top of the stairs. He goes, "Kevin, I'm warning you now. You don't come to the top of the stairs. I'm gonna have to take drastic action." I'm trying to get up there. He gets up. He goes, "I warned you." Bang! Down the stairs.
Allegedly.
I heard allegedly you punched out a guy and rescued two. Allegedly.
No.
You got some anger management issues.
No, this is where the tough Tony.
Oh, tough Tony!
Oh! All right, so I just I got promoted, and I'm doing a couple of vacations, and I'm in ladder 123. Now, this was probably one of the most significant tours of my life. I got a medal and I got charges all in one night.
Sweet,
amazing. So we pull up, and I was going to not name the company, but you already did. So we pull up, and of course, it was their first two box, but they don't have a ladder and they don't have whatever. So they didn't block out their building. They're there, but they're in there with the first two engine, which was 234. And we come in. I tell the guys, we're the first two truck. I don't know what they're doing. We just do it. So I come up the stair, and I knew the fireman. We were friends. I went to his house in Staten Island, But he had a temper. It made me look like I was on heroin. That's how insane he was. I come up the stairs not knowing that he's already had some kind of a fallout with the lieutenant and the engine. So I go past him. I go, "Hey, how's it going?" And he goes, "Happy birthday." Not in those words, he's "fuck you" is what he said. So now I got to do my job. I got to make a search. I go in there and I'm like, "Oh, I'm boiling. I am." I said, "What the hell is his problem?" Right? So I go around. We finish the job's over. I go to him, "Hey, what's with the fuck you? Fuck you, you fucking lieutenant." He starts ranting. Now I go up in East New York where fighting was considered normal. You wanted to play stickball, you either challenged the other team or you fought them for the stickball court, handball court. Fighting was normal. So I thought, in my opinion, he was.
That's a fight in my neighborhood.
And unfortunately, it got out of the job for whatever reason. So they call me downtown. I got 10 days pay, whatever, and they go, "You're an officer." And I go, "I also know how to defend myself." "Well, would you do that again?" I go, "Absolutely." I'm not getting shoved out this.
You gave him the wrong answer.
He gave him the wrong answer. Guy got 10 days pay. That was the beginning of the tour.
He was wrong.
Later in the night, I was wrong. Later in the night, we did a run. And
that is wrong. And he did the wrong thing.
That's pretty much describes probably my career. So later on that night, we get a run, and we take up whatever it was. And then I hear 111, 120. Oh, they call 111, and we're not that far from where the box is. So I go, "Guys, let's start heading over there. Sounds like something." 111, 1075. We got no engine on the scene. So now we get there. Make a long story short, I find this kid on the third floor. Kenny Ross from 111 pulled out about 4 people. When we pulled up, there's like legs and arms hanging out of a bucket. And I go up there, and I found this kid, little Mustafa Ba. I never forget, kid, 3 or 4 years old. Amazing how I found him. I searched the room, and you know, sometimes Providence. I said, let me go back. I thought I heard something. I go under the bed, and sure enough, boom, I pulled this kid out. So make a long story short, they write me up, and I'm in the engine 35 years. Never got a citation. I mean, I was a 217. We put out a whole building by ourselves. 67 engine. We're in the Bronx. Let me tell you the 67. We're in the Bronx. We get an isolated building. Cops are trapped on the roof. We pull up. We broke the team up. One guy took the irons. Other guy put a portable ladder up. I stretched the line with another guy. We put the fire out before any companies came.
Oh, that's your job. That's what you're supposed to do, right? That's what they told you back then.
That could take 2 hours, they told me. But so they give me I get a class 3. But
nice.
The funny part
That's a great job, man.
Funny part is you got hooked up and you got a medal in the same goddamn day.
Same night.
No one could, I don't think anyone could claim
No, I was just going to say that could be a record. That's probably a record.
So anyway, the funny part is, I don't know if you ever heard Tom Brunton. Tommy Brunton was a fireman in 217. The man had limericks. He was a great writer. So Medal Day, they bring in, I'm going to go out to Medal Day, and they bring he hands me my Medal Day book. He goes, hey, this is for you. I got it for you. I go, oh, great. So later on that day, I'm reading my description. Lieutenant VARRIALE from an aggressive engine, blah, blah, blah. And he pulls up, goes up to the 3rd floor. Now he's shitting his pants. This is in the Medal Day book. It looked like the real thing. His pants. He calls in the room, and this little kid, Mustafa Bus, smacks him, says, step out of it, Lieutenant. I'll get you out of here. So little Mustafa Bus drags him down the stairs. Tony sees his opportunity and cold cocks the kid, knocks him out. And for that, we give him the Thompson Medal for cowardice at the highest. Cowardice at the highest.
You gotta love the brothers, bro. You gotta love the brothers. I swear to God.
That is incredible.
The creativity. The creativity on the brothers, bro, is priceless.
That is incredible. I don't think I've ever heard that story either.
No, that one. And well, there's more to come. So now what happens is, because of the incident, they tell me, they start sending me, outside of the 15th, and I'm like working in the places where I was climbing the walls. So I know that 290 has a guy on a detail, whatever, one of the lieutenants. So I call the division up. I go, listen, let me go to 290. They don't run me with rescue. They don't, the problem is they didn't want me with rescue. So, okay. They don't run it with rescue. By the time rescue gets there, it's either out or it's a 5th alarm, Okay. So I go there, and then funny, I'm there from that time on. It was probably late 87, early 80.
August of 87.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I'm there for a while, and then the spot is opened up officially on the order, and I put in for it. Well, first of all, the 2 places I love showed you there's something wrong with you. 113 and 290 and 103.
Oh, yeah, there's something definitely wrong with you. Yeah.
I did a vacation in 113.
Love
what
it.
a cast of characters. I heard Richie talking about KWAS. That guy was amazing. But so I put in for 290, and my first job as a lieutenant, I'm in 283. I'm in 120, 123. I quit the job, and I get over, but I'm not catching anything. Wherever I'm working, they job before me and the job after. Go over to 103. My first tour in 103 truck, and I got Billy Cooper at the time was the chauffeur, probably had 25 years. Charlie Anderson, 20-something years. Frank Poser, legendary fireman. Jimmy Moring, another 20-something year guy, and Gene DeMarco had about 17. I had about 11 years. So I'm over there. You'll take the roof, and you take this. So I go to Charlie Anderson. I go, do you mind taking the iron? He goes, you're the boss. That's what they pay you the big bucks for. I'm like, who are these guys are little legends, So we're shopping down in Starrett City, and box comes in. And this box, 2100.
I know, Lot Avenue. Yep.
Lot and Stone.
And
as I'm coming, I could see a column of smoke. It was my first job in 103. And actually, no, that was before 123. It was just a one-day tour. And so that was my first job as an officer. Now, then the rest goes on, and now I'm in 290 later on. And my first day in 290. Everywhere I'm going, they're like fucking Marine Corps, roll calls. Like, hey, yes, sir, you got it. I go, 290 roll call, right? I'm in the office. Nobody shows up. The rolls came out of the kitchen, Like,
they were doing that then too? All right, so.
Oh, yeah. I go, I don't care. I go upstairs and I call down the house. I said, can I see Pellegrino and Josini? Josini was in 290. So Pellegrino comes in. He's like, what's the matter? I go, oh, just want to see if you're here. You got whatever it was. We had this little dog called Sheffield. It was a Dalmatian who had yellow, blue, green dots. They painted his step. The dog walks in the office with a note. Josini had a rough night. You give him the nozzle. He's in the bunk room. I go, okay. And I said, that kind of place, because before, when I got promoted from 217, we had this Lieutenant Peruso. What a wonderful guy. Great guy, great officer. We used to drive him crazy. Me, Savastano, this guy, Larry Welsh, Steve McCaffrey, all nut jobs. And when I got promoted, he goes, Tony, congratulations. I'm very proud of you. He goes, I just hope you get to work with one guy like you. So I got about a week in 290. I call him up. I go, John, I got 50. And they're worse than me.
I got a whole clan.
I got 50. But there's a reason why they were nuts, as you can see, Yeah, that was a fire on Alabama. That was a factory. We're sitting on Rescue 2's. Rescue took that picture and they told us what a great job we had done. That was
same fire. This is the same fire right here, right?
Yeah, it's just the rest of us. That was a detail from 174. That's Jimmy Burt, Dick Frayne, Steve Alexander.
Oh my God! Look at Richie Frayne. I didn't even recognize him.
Yeah, and there's Josini right there. Great guys. Steve Alexander's story. New Year's Eve, we get a run over to Williams Avenue, the Prague, 6th floor. We're going up, whatever it was, odor of gas or something. We go up there and all kinds of noise coming out of the apartment. Knock on the door, opens up. There's like 50 people in there partying, and him. What's up?
Oh my God, that's freaking great.
You had to vent a little in that neighborhood over there. So.
Oh my God, we got a picture of Tone. We got a picture of Frank Posa, Petey. That's the two, the double. There's two guys there, Dick Dougherty and Frank.
Yeah, there's Frank. One of the greatest firemen. The guy did over 30 years in 103 truck. He actually rescued John Vigiano at a fire. Guy should have had the Gordon Bennett medal, and he said, I don't want him. Did 30-something years, all in 103 truck, from the 60s to the night of Guns and Hoses, which was his retirement night. And he said, I don't need him. And this man, Mike Dougherty, he got him and Joe Trezor. I was the officer in the truck one day, and they made a great grab. So famous Carruthers was coming into work when we had those Brooklyn East, Brooklyn North. I don't know if you guys were aware that they had changed the divisions around for a couple of years. So he stopped. He saw the whole job. And the way he was he didn't talk directly to me. He goes to the chief. Tell Lieutenant VARRIALE to put them guys in for a meritorious act. Okay. Mike comes. Yeah, and I did it he has like a yellow fucking sanitation shirt on. So he goes, also tell Lieutenant VARRIALE, hook that man up for not being in uniform. Now, of course, it goes all over the job. But a day or two later, I get a call from headquarters. Forget about that. He just had to say something because he just put the chief in the spot. So, but Mike is a lucky man. He fell through. He fell through an awning, something, and his helmet fell off, and the hook hit him in the head, and it just missed his brain, and he had the scar. And so they painted the wall with it called the skull. They had his face, Mike the Skull. So
what's the story with Frank Posa? How did that 103?
All right.
There it goes. All right.
One day in the late 60s or 70s, they guys buy the meal and they put on the wall, you know, Louis, Tony, Pete, Jimmy, Poser. You know, who's going to pay for the meal? You know, who check off that you paid. Frank, big guy, had a high voice. I like this. And he goes, "Why is my last name? I don't want to see my last name anywhere." Well, that was a mistake. Every vacant building in East New York that had a box had Poser over it. His 10th wedding anniversary, they paid the restaurant. They found out where he was taking his wife. They paid the restaurant and they sprayed Poser on the ceiling because I don't want to see my name anywhere. Right? So now
that's freaking great.
The company comes up with, you know, when they go, they got to make a patch up, and the guys going, we got to come up with something with Poser just to drive him crazy. Poser, pride of Sheffield Avenue.
No shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And the "we done good" comes from a famous Lieutenant Walter Schretzman, where one day they were at the Rock. They used to evaluate you, and I don't know what 290 did or didn't do, but one of the evaluators at the Rock goes, "Hey, Lieutenant, how do you think you guys did today? What about this?" And he takes a cigarette and he goes, "We done good." And he flexes and that the guy hits him. Between Poser and Schretzman, we done good, and the rest is history.
Wow.
So,
Ruffy, you learned something tonight.
I didn't know. I know it was his name,
Avenue.
but I didn't know how it came about.
We didn't want to see his name anyway. So when I did get promoted to captain, I said in the speech I mentioned, I said, the greatest badge you can have, the greatest medal you can have from Sheffield Avenue is that patch, Poser. Better than the Gordon Bennett medal, because if you worked there, you know what you did. You know, most people don't know what it was like down there. It's insanity.
So did you say that Poser was there for 30 years? Is that? Or?
Yeah, he was for 30.
Over 30 years. His last night tour, he went out with a bang. I don't know if you know, but literally a bang.
We might not talk about that one. Maybe we'll leave that one for another time.
Skip that one? Yeah, all right. He was in what? He was in the engine of the truck the whole time.
He was in the truck the whole time.
Because of that night, I got a phone call, and I won't mention his name, a very high staff chief at the time, who died on 9/11, called me up the next day because we were on the news. And I made a comment, and one of the other guys, he goes, "I don't want to see your face on the news ever again." I go, "No problem. You got me." Sure enough, 1 or 2 years later, we had the Williamson fire. No, well, I was also
Right.
at Kevin Kane. All right, we'll get into that later. But I'm coming out of the funeral, and there's Penny Crone interviewing guys from.
Oh, she loves firemen, bro.
Oh yeah. So she calls the guys. Well, he was the first 2 officers at the Kevin Kane fire, which was controversial because, well, we can get into that in a little bit. And so she comes over, and I go, "I don't want to talk. I was told not to talk." "I'll back you up 100%, Lieutenant." Okay. I get into this whole detail about 4-man engines versus 5-man engine, which we believe, and we kind of proved in a redo of the fire, that if we would have had a 5th man, or if engine 236 had a 5th man, the line would have got there in there quicker. I'll get to that in a second. Sure enough, that night I get a phone call. "When are you working again?" I go, "Monday." He goes, "You are to put 290 out of service. At 0900, you put your class A's on, you come down to headquarters." I go, "Oh God, what's going to happen here?" But because what happened in the interview, and she tells me that Mayor Dinkins is, after I just went through the whole fire and I'm riled up about it, she goes, "Well, Mayor Dinkins just named a street after Kevin Kane." And this is me that night on the news. "Thanks, Mr. Mayor." You know, VARRIALE, Engine 290. That's all you saw on the news. "Thanks, Mr. Mayor." You know. So,
They didn't have what was it? Xanax? They didn't have that back then. Relax a little bit.
So what happens is Patty Brown, thank God, Patty Brown made a similar statement, but a lot more calmer and a lot more respectful. And so the media got behind free speech and all this stuff. And this commissioner, whoever he was, called me up that morning, or his office. Forget about coming down, but there's a future between us. And I knew when I got promoted to captain where I was going. First division, which we're going to get into, was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. I learned a lot down there. So,
Peter, we got a picture of that one of those jobs there. The captain wanted to talk about.
Yeah, this is it. Here we go. Mean job.
Okay.
Where's that kid?
That's Wyoner Avenue. That's a church. The reason that church was torched was because the priests there were helping the people to fight the drug dealers. See, people don't understand that neighborhood. I don't know if you have the other picture of the, well, whatever. So
Yeah,
this
you
is
have the
what-
picture of like the Wasteland, not that one. The one that looks like.
That was an ERS no contact.
Hold on a second.
Of course it was. Of course it
This one
was.
right here.
The firehouse was roughly over here. Now look at that wasteland, right? You would think nothing would be going on. In that area, 2 blocks south of the firehouse, 2 blocks north, east and west, there were 200 shootings and 70 murders by these gang guys. Most of the people that lived in these areas were just poor, good, decent people. They were under siege. So, people would say, why don't they talk about the drug dealers? And I give this, we had a fire in Alabama, which was 2 blocks away. We were critiquing the fire, and this little old lady comes up. She goes, don't talk to me, don't look at me, with those 3 knuckleheads with the red caps, Bloods, I guess, whatever they were. They did this. That night, we go to another fire on Alabama Avenue, and we find her body with bullet holes in it. So how are these people? See, this is what people don't understand, how vicious these gangs are. They're burning the church. They're killing people. And why aren't these people saying something? Would you say something? Picture the neighborhood you live in and think of 70 people being murdered in a 4-block area. It's insanity.
Yeah, man.
And they were like that for
It's
years.
basically, they're terrorizing the neighborhood. It's terror.
It's terror. Exactly.
Cap, you know that. I mean, I think I've said this quite a few times on the show that every time you went somewhere, whether it was gas leak, whatever it was, you always knew when you walked in if they were good people, like right away. You really would do anything to help them because you realize that they were just stuck.
Trapped.
They were trapped. And don't get me wrong, there was a lot of shit too, but for the most part, most people were exactly how you said it.
Poor, unfortunately uneducated, no jobs, struggling. The kids are the heartbreaker. You see these little kids, they used to look up to us. They come over, they'll hang out, try to play basketball, put air in their tires. And by the time they start reaching 7, 8, 9 years old, you see they start looking at you with distrust. Who knows what's going on? And by the time they're teenagers, they're killers. And they don't know that it's wrong. And you're not going to save that kid.
Yeah.
And I always tell the story of Mike Tyson. I got another one with Riddick Bowe. So Mike Tyson came from that neighborhood, and he made it. Mike Tyson, I love the man. He fought out of fear. He got tired of getting beat up. And it's a great documentary about him, and they show Brownsville, where he grew up, burned out buildings and stuff. But another great boxer was Riddick Bowe. Riddick Bowe became the heavyweight champion of the world. He came over to Thomas Jefferson High School, and I don't know if that's where he went. It was around the corner from 290.
He lived on Lot. He lived on Lot, right? Didn't he live in?
Oh, right, that's right.
He lived in Lot.
He was at Thomas Jefferson. So we went over. We got him on the rig, and we're going to go drive to his house at Lot and Stone.
Yep, correct.
And as we're going there, the guy his hands were like 2 of mine, and monster of a guy. And so as we're pulling up to 2, some people are waving to him, other people say, "Fuck," the neighborhood was crazy. So we get up to coming up to the Lot and Stone, and I go, "So Riddick, how's it feel to be the baddest man in the world?" He goes, "I'm not even the baddest guy on the 3rd floor at 230 Lot." I go,
230.
"So you tell me I work in a rough neighborhood?" He goes, "Oh yeah, you got what a great guy." And he brought it back. He did a lot. He brought a lot back into the area, but
Tone, how did you work with Dom at all, Carino?
The greatest. Dominic is the best. One of the best firemen I ever worked. I mean, there's a whole list of firemen in that place. Steve Luisi.
Luisi, my God, yeah.
Joe Trezza, Mike Stein, God, great. And Danny Libretti, God rest his soul. But you just mentioned
Dom Carino.
Dominic was the best. He was an officer's dream. Drill. That's what was great about 290. As an officer, the firehouse was anything goes. If you went in the kitchen, you could be a chief. You're getting your balls broken, right? But when that bell went off, you had the most professional firefighters anywhere. Go out. They were ready to go to work. They did it. I basically gave a 1075 and got out of the way. In fact, one time they went over my back because I was in the way.
Get out of the way, Tone.
Joe Bizell, you've heard his name mentioned.
Yeah.
Joe was a little guy, and actually his picture was on the front page of the Post. Firefighters hire, whatever, and there's a line of guys, and then there's this little guy. I go, that guy's probably going to walk through the doors here, and 2 hours later, here comes Bizell. Yeah? So he's in let's say group 8, and Dom's in group 4. About a month, everybody had gotten lifted because of the guns and hoses. I'm the only lieutenant left. So I'm the acting captain. Or maybe Clem Wingett was left because, no, he wasn't. I was the senior lieutenant. So Joe comes up. Hey, Lou, can I talk to you? I go, yeah, that's fine. He goes, I think it would be good for my learning experiences if I went into another group to work with other guys. I go, I know where he's coming from. So he was in group 8. Dom was in group 4. Group 3 was open. They put him in group 3. So now he goes, where did you go? I go, you said you wanted to go to group. I put you in the lower groups. He was with Dominic all the time.
I know Dominic tortured him, right? He tortured him.
But Dominic did it to everybody. He would have.
No, I know.
Dominic was phenomenal.
Bizell actually called me today, and again, he's always chirping all the time, but he did say to me that you really were one of the best bosses he ever worked with, and you really always looked out for the guys to get them. If there was a chance to get into a good job, you got the guys in. You know, there'd be 4 bosses standing there. You'd walk up, and the next thing you know, you were taking a line down into the basement, or he said that he don't talk that much about that stuff. Believe me.
My policy was, we're out to do the job, and I would walk in and I go up to the command post, and I'd size up the thing, and I go, Chief, I think you should let us take a line over there. Hey, good idea, Everybody else is standing around. Next thing you know, that's 290. Here we go.
Cutting us off again, no son of a bitch.
All right. I got 2 guys here from 103, 290. All right. Explain to me what the thing is with 290 when somebody says 290. Oh, 290 right away. What is that thing about 290 and 103 that when you say that, people give you the why? What was it?
Here's what it was. Turnout. They turned out. And I try to teach this everywhere I went. Turnout is not just to beat the guys in, although it would be nice if you
It's going to happen, right?
It's going to happen. Turnout is to get there because the longer a fire burns, the worse it gets. Number 2, if you're second due, you've got to be there. And I give this story all the time. This is why marrying up, I understand marrying up, but whatever. So when I was a fireman in 217, we get a second due job, 218, row frames. The whole first floor is blowing out the windows, out in the hallway. 218 dropped 2 lines. We both stretched at the same time, charged the lines together. Instead of us marrying up with them, putting 10 guys on the line. They go in, they're moving in nice. We're about to go up the stairs. They get a burst lint. They're engulfed in flames. You never heard of that fire. Why? Because we had the second line. If that happened today, 2 companies would be burned or worse. So
I say that all the time. They shouldn't do that anymore either.
Unless it's a 6-story H.
Right. It takes time to get a line into place, right?
Oh, absolutely. So that was their policy of turning out. And fortunately for 290, you're in the middle. We had Pennsylvania Avenue. We got, so we were able to get out fast. Other companies had to come out and they got left, tight streets, whatever. So, we did beat them in at times and they hated us for it. But we got beat in once in a while too. You're out of the box and stuff. Well,
it was like the Bizarro. I was telling Tony, to me, it was like the Bizarro world because, and I wasn't running around like a cowboy trying to cut, to do all that stuff. It's just that we turned out the same. No, I'll give you a perfect example. There was, and it sticks out to me, and I had a discussion with the chief about it. Now, don't forget, every one of those companies around there has a chief in quarters, right? We did.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Right. So they could always talk to the chief. So we were second due on a gas leak. Let's say it was on a 10th floor. And the truck didn't go up. I was in 103 at the time. The truck didn't go up. The engine boss went up. The guys were standing there with their roll-ups, and they didn't go up. So, their position is supposed to be on the floor below, 2 floors below, going through the whole process. Right. The truck's supposed to be up there. But the engine didn't go up. The truck was up there. I'm sorry. The engine didn't go up. So we get there, and I was in the 290, and I'm like, "Are you going up?" And he kind of looked at me like I was talking to Chinese. So I told the guys, throw your roll-ups in there. So we throw our roll-ups in elevator, and we go up to the 9th floor. We check we check the stamp pipe. We go through the whole procedure that you're supposed to do. I come back down. The engine boss is gone. They're gone. I'm second due. That's first due. That was their company, right? So I get back to the firehouse, and the call is for me. I pick up the department phone, and the chief's like, "Hey, Louie, what happened at that box?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know what happened at the box." He goes, "Listen, we got to stop trying to show other companies up." I'm like, "Please tell me you're calling me to tell me thanks for doing your job, as opposed to trying to protect your guys because you don't want to tell them the truth, which is you're trying to save steps, right? You're trying, listen, I don't want to go up there. I've been on 20 gas leaks at 24. Last thing I want to do is go up to the 10th floor and go through the motion again, right?" But we did it. And it was hated because we did the same thing every time. It was to minutia. Mike McVeigh had mentioned something. If we went to a box and the guys checked the hydrant, if we had a box right on that corner again, and the guys knew they would check the hydrant again. They would do it the same way every time. And that's the truth. And even if you check the hydrant,
I'll give you one. We had a second due down to 231 was a bunch of taxpayers going, and Mike Kelly, great chauffeur, bled the hydrant, bled it out, and going in, we put out our fire. It's a funny story. We put out the whole fire where we were, and I go 290, all visible fires over. Meanwhile, they're cutting the roof, and it's blowing out 40 feet.
Looking good.
So what happens is right around that time, we're pretty much knocked out. I think it might have been 332 or up above, and Glenn Harris was the lieutenant.
Trying to get him on the show.
The guy you wondered if you were trapped, but he probably got you trapped.
We say that all the time.
If I had a nickel for everybody who said that.
Great. So, but all of a sudden, 290, he lost water. What happened was a couple of beer cans came up out of the hydrant. This is 40 minutes into the job, so even if you check the hydrant, you don't know what could happen. So what happened was they had to bail out. And there was controversy. Why was he up with them? I don't remember the whole story, but you got to cover your job, you got to cover your positions.
All right, so I think I got it. So this is what it is. So 290, quick turnout.
Right.
Do what they're supposed to. Professionalism every time.
Well, professionalism. I don't know. Maybe
when it comes to doing.
They're going to go through.
When it comes to firefighting, right? So the mundane things they would do all the time, just like SAC. Right. We would get off fully dressed for a gas leak. So,
Coobs, that's why it was easy for me when I went there, because they did exactly that.
At a gas leak, and I can remember working details, going to a car fire, and I have my hood, my mask, everything up, and people looking at me like, this guy's getting off. The other guys are getting off with their coats on, if they have a mask. You know what I mean?
The truck would take the can. The truck would take the can to a stuck elevator. The guy would carry the can. Right.
So what I'm saying is maybe them doing their job puts a spotlight on guys who aren't doing their job.
Where we were, they were all good companies. Like we had a rivalry with 175 and 332 and 231, but we respected them. In fact, it was, I'll give you an example, 231 and how important size up is. Now, odorous smoke, guys are turning out, right? Most companies. Odorous gas, they didn't take important. 290, 103 did. Mm-hmm. And I give this one all the time. We're second due to 231, odorous gas, whatever floor it was. And we're flying down there, and all of a sudden, 231 urgent, transmitter second alarm. The odorous gas turned out to be an explosion that blew 2 apartments and killed 4 people. Yep. So odorous gas might be a little more dangerous than odorous smoke. You treat it, get there, and find out what it's about. I know they got the moderated responses now and all that stuff, but
back then, that was what the problem. That's what, Cap. That was really where because 290 and 103 would fly on a gas leak, right? You always hear that. Oh, 290's out of control for a gas leak. Because now, granted, 99% of the time a gas leak is just a gas leak. It's a BS run, but they actually responded the same way every time, and that's why guys would make jokes about them or bash them. It's because they responded the same way to that.
Just like Pete, pull up that picture, the ERS no contact, right? Bing, right there.
No calls, nothing. We turned the corner. I go, 290 to Brooklyn. They had 90.
Oh
I
my
go, you got anything else in this box? No. I go, well, transmit a second alarm.
I was going to say that's a second alarm, easy. That's a two-bagger.
That's a two-bagger right there, bro.
Good God.
So, but talking about being prepared all the time, correct? Doing the right thing, mundane, repetitive. So now I get promoted to captain, and I'm in engine 24, and the first couple of months.
6th Avenue. They're like Greenwich Village, that area.
Yeah.
Oh, what a change of pace for you, huh? Posted it.
Well, I'll tell you a story. My first tour, first of all, I get promoted. I know they're sending me to first division. They're going to punish me for my crimes in Sheffield Avenue. So, my first day, so I'm standing out in front of quarters. I never stood in a firehouse where the doors are open, and I'm standing there like this.
Lucky
I probably have
you might have got shot.
I look like the Coney Island steeplechase guy. I got a smile.
Yeah, just smiling. Yeah, beautiful.
This kid, Bobby Badilla, who we lost to the Deutsche Bank fire, great guy. He was my chauffeur today. He comes walking over to me and he goes, Hey Cap, with all due respect, what did you work in shithole firehouses your whole career? And I go, well, why do you say that? He goes, you all got that shit-eating grin on your face when you come in. I was like this. Oh, this is nuts. But at that same moment, this is when I learned that I was in the most dangerous area I could ever work in. I'm staring across the street at Houston and McDougal. There's a 6-story H. No fire escapes, picket fence around the top. And I'm like, how the hell is that? How's that possible? Dave Corcoran, he was a division commander. They were temporarily in quarters with us as they were doing their quarters over. And he was my lieutenant briefly in 217. And he goes, you noticed that, huh? I go, how is that possible? He goes, welcome to Manhattan. He goes, they renovated it. They put in for variances. They put 4-hour sheetrock walls, and they took the fire escapes off. I go, but it has all the inherited problems. It's got a cock off. He goes, yes. He goes, anyone gets a fire in there, they're dead. He goes, And then I look across the street. Scary. You pull up to an old lord tenement in Brooklyn, Harlem, wherever, the Bronx. It's an old lord tenement with railroad flats. Right across the street from 24 and 5 is a 5-story old lord tenement, probably built in 1901. And there's no 4th floor because the guy who owns the 3rd, 4th, and 5th floor decided to make it into a mezzanine that he can look down, whatever. Yeah. You don't know that unless you go on BI.
Dumick comes back again.
So, and down there's subcellars, interconnected buildings. And let me tell you something. Some of the best firemen I ever worked with. We're in the ghetto. We pound our chests. We're going to 9 fires in a week. Well, those guys don't get a lot of fires. And when they do, we'll talk about professionalism.
I like it, Cap. I like it.
Because the buildings are humbling. I had 2 guys, and there was a group of them, but the 2 guys I want to mention a lot of fire. First of all, Captain Drennan. John Drennan was phenomenal. He had that truck. They were super. And every time we got a run, if it was an odor of smoke, this guy, John Santor, was the chauffeur. And F-24. He'd put the aerial up. The guys would always cover their positions, go to the whatever. And it's a funny story because they had a guy they were breaking in to be the OV. If you don't see anything in the front, you go to the rear. OV, rear clear for months. One day we get a job on Thompson Street, blowing out the windows in the front. So the next thing I hear is 5 OV, the rear's clear. We know the rear's clear. But it turned out to be a good move because down there, you don't know how the buildings are laid out. It might have interconnected to the rear, but they were mundane, routine, ladder tree. They could have been a rescue company.
Those guys run out there balls off, right? I mean, they run around.
Yeah, but the guys that they lost there in 9/11 was
yeah, they lost 10 guys, I think, 9 or 10 guys.
Yeah, legendary fireman, phenomenal company. So I give you an example of how it was down there. We got a fire one time on West Broadway, and so the building is maybe 40 feet wide, 5 stories high. We got a good fire on the 2nd floor. We go up there and we're moving in, and someone should have told me when we got to the 2nd landing, we still hadn't reached the back. This is not a usual building. So, make a long story short, we go actually through 2 cylinders, and we put out most of the fire, and they relieve us. And I go downstairs to the street, and there's Chief Casey, John Casey. I knew him from the 3-4 battalion. And he's got this dejected look on his face. And I go, Chief, what's up? In spite of our best efforts, it's out. He goes like this to me. Go check out the Spring Street side of Spring Street. It's like,
Holy shit. Yeah.
This building was like 250 feet. And it went like 700 feet to the right. There were 4 floors of fire on Spring Street. I came walking back. I go, Broadway, West Broadway looks good. You know, the kind of stuff you're into. Another time, we go to a club, Gonzalez and Gonzalez, a very popular club. The Class 3 came in. And, you know, the alarm doesn't reset, and it's showing the basement. People are dancing and everything. So we go down. I go down with 9 truck, 5 truck. I went down with 33 inch. You know, guys are standing fast with their roll-ups. People are dancing upstairs. And guy from 9 truck touches this one door where the room is supposed to be coming. But, yeah, this is a little warm. I mean, it's sealed tight, right? I take the door. That door opens up. It's like black, boiling heat.
You checked that door for heat tone?
Yeah, right? But what? It's a sub-cellar. But now we come
Check that door for heat, Tim?
The guys are stretching the line, and people are still dancing. The music's blasting. Guys are going in. Could you evacuate, please? Is this a show? Is this part of the show?
Yeah, they have no idea, right? Yeah.
You know? But talking about, you know, breaking your routine. When I first got into Manhattan, the first time I go to pull my mask off, it's an hour still. I thought my arm was going to come off. So we had the 45-minute bottles in Brooklyn. So we get this run. It's over by NYU, Mercer Street. You come in almost every tour, class 3. So this one day, I'm like, I'm not taking the mask. It's going to be bullshit. Right? Of course.
That's not the 290 way. That's not the 290 way, Cap.
Exactly. I did what other people did. Yeah. So I get off without my mask. We go in. Guys come in with their roll-up. But I remember, but it was the building I walked in was 5 stories. So we go in deep. It's a deep building. We're in the lobby. Also, I hear 9 truck. Transmitter 1075, 15th floor. I go, 15th floor. I walked into a 5-story building. This building interconnected. There was a company that owned the whole square block. So I go, well, how bad can it be? I'll go up. I get up to the 13th floor and the smoke is down here. I tell my guys, hook up here. I'm fucking dying. The smoke is already 2 floors down. So I said,
my God, that's a mess.
I said, I'm not asking one of the guys for their mask.
Yeah, no, I know.
I'll follow the line. I know there's got to be a window, and I follow the line. I'm dying up there. I get in, and I stick my head out a window in the fire department. And after the fire, the guy goes, wow, Lou, you're unbelievable. Cap, you're unbelievable. No mask. I go, yeah, well, you know.
That's how we do it over there, kid. That's how we do it. Got a cigar? I need a cigarette.
Never did that. You know, I mean, did I always use my mask? No. You know, I remember going back to 111 truck, some famous firemen there. Like I said, Bobby Schaefer, we used to call him the Incredible Snotman, one of the most phenomenal firefighters. You know, you go through 5 rooms of fire, and then the fire, and he'd be standing there. That wasn't that bad. Kind of like Joe Trezor was in Ladder 103. So Jimmy Basil, a Korean War Marine recon. We used to say he jumped 20 times, 17 with a mask, with a parachute. Phenomenal firefighter. He was a registered nurse. Well, so let's see. In the 80s, he had to be, you know, in his 50s, maybe late. Wow. He used to put on combat boots every day and run 5 miles backwards. Guy was in great shape. And what I loved about him was, you know, he was all about doing the job. And if this guy put his turnout coat on, you're going to hell. So 2 things about him. I used to love when you asked him a question. He would love to give it. He loved to instruct the guys. But this is the way he would do it. Let's say I asked him, where does the roof man go? And he goes, you want to know for real or real? I go, real?
For real? You want the generic answer?
Real is what the book says.
That's
real.
Response. That's a great response.
And he to him, the fire floor was everything. Everything else was, you know, helping the inside team, right? So, and I had the irons, the can, you know, when I was down there. So we get an ass-kicking job down on Fulton Street, and we were using these things that didn't have a full face piece. Stuff with
you know, it's But he just asked in the chat. If you ever used one.
Cheating or something. Yeah.
They just asked if you used one.
Oh yeah. So I back then we did. It was,
Allegedly.
So I'm taking hits, and we're beat up, taking hits, and I look at him. His eyes were blood red, sweat. And I go, Lou, you want to hit? He gave me a look like I just raped his wife or something.
Oh God!
The next thing I know, I got the roof for like a month. It was like he punished me. But I ended up cutting the roof in Bushwood because I had the roof that day. So that was really good.
Yeah, he really screwed you. Those names keep coming up on all the time, and we've had a lot of guys, 111 guys, Chief Bro. We had Ray Strong.
Chief
we got what's his name coming up too?
Bobby Austin.
Oh, Bobby Austin's coming on soon.
So yeah, we got a lot of guys.
A lot of stories, right?
Some of his stories may be a little embellished. That's all.
You want the real story or the real story?
I'm going to ask you for the real story.
Oh, Bobby. Oh God, yeah. And the Duke over there. The Duke. He got the Duke. I know when Duke. They asked how he got the name the Duke. Well, legend. He got the Gordon Bennett, great fireman, and the women got on the job, and there was a little girl, Lois Mundane, tough as nails.
Oh, and, Lois in 235?
235, yeah.
She's a good fireman, man.
Yes, I'll give you a story. When I get a job with them, but I get a job with them, and to show you how she was, there was this Vietnam vet, Kevin Steiniger, angry, nasty, always miserable. We're getting a job, so ready to get water, and we forced the doors. All five were standing there, ready to go in with them, and he goes, Lois, as soon as I get water, I want to feel those titties on my back. And she says, I don't have any titties.
Did she say that? Oh, my God.
She's great. She was great. She gave 100%. She was small.
She was in the
She was
gym.
strong. She worked out with us in the gym.
Out with her in the gym back in the day.
Strong as hell.
Yeah. So.
That's great, man. She's great.
235, and the Duke, Kenny Connolly, he used to break 235. You guys got a woman because you guys, whatever. So what happens is they send Lois to 111 for a 30-day detail. All you saw was the Duke got his arm around her. So it came out with, she's the real Duke. He's no Duke. That's the real Duke.
I love it.
Yeah.
No, that's good. I don't think she didn't really have many issues, right? I mean, she seemed like she was always in the trenches, right?
She gave it right back.
Yes, that's how you got to be, man. That's how you got to be.
Well, you see, the
different times, but
and we should go back to it because what they call hazing now, like I didn't know I was a little fucking guinea until I got in the fire department. Right?
He ain't lying.
I mean, all I worked was Donnelly, Connolly, this guy.
Yeah.
Whole bunch of mix, a little bit of Irish.
Celtic Warriors.
My dad used to just tell me that every day. Oh, look, my what did he used to say? My bop is in because I had less time than him, like by I don't know, a year. So he used to say, "Oh, the bop guinea is in" or something. He used to say to me all the time.
So I get detail to ladder 3-4 for one night. Everybody there was Eddie Kilduff was in there. Eddie was the shortest guy in the truck that night, right? So this one guy goes, "Listen, you little giddy bastard, we get a job. I don't want to see you standing on anything pulling ceilings." I
love it.
So sure enough, we get a job. I go down. I take the hook to lower the ladder. My hook snaps in half. So I got a 4-foot hook now. Sure enough, we're up there. The fire's clearing. I get up on the desk, pulling the ceiling, and now the smoke clears. And here's this guy looking. He goes, "Either you grew 2 feet or you're fucking on a desk or something. I told you not to do that." But, we called each other's names. We ranked at each other's ethnic backgrounds because we ended up laughing at each other. We became a team. We all knew he loved me. If they broke your balls, they loved you. If they don't talk to you, they don't love you.
You're in trouble. Yeah. No
doubt. That's not just an FDNY thing. That's an old school New York thing. Because I grew up in Astoria, Queens, and we had every kind of person. You know what it's like over there, Louis. You worked there, and you too, Kev. So every day I would be called like a Croatian baby killer and shit like that. You know what I mean? I don't know what the hell that was, but whatever, right? and no one gave a shit. It's how you knew they loved you.
Yeah.
You know, my neighbor, I grew up in East New York. If you lived on, and we had everything. You name an ethnic race, we had it all. And if you lived up on Fountain Avenue, north of Liberty, you were cool. If you lived down below, you were a giddy bastard, a Puerto Rican prick.
Spick, I was going to say, Spick was a big name back. When I was a kid, Spick was big.
Yeah.
I don't think I heard that word in like 20 years.
No. It's funny.
No.
What street did you grow up on, Tony?
Fountain Avenue near Liberty, just north of Liberty.
Is that Cypress Hills at all?
No. South of
that. That's 2.25, right? Is first through there?
236.
Oh, 236.
All right. That's a good spot too, man. Single engine right there, man.
I was like 4 blocks away. I used to watch, I'd stand there and I used to see the fire truck out and they'd leave the doors open. I used to look at their shoes and it was, wow, why is that door open? Why they, what happened to their shoes? Why'd they take their shoes off? Not knowing it. Yeah. But we got to get back to that. It melds us. We become one.
Yeah, man.
We respect each other. We love everybody's backgrounds. But we're all Americans first, and that's what we got to get to. Stop hyphenating. I can hate you if you're Croatian American and Jewish American or whatever. But if you're an American, we're all the same.
Yeah.
Right. Good times make weak men.
I guess.
And that's what it is. It's been too good for too long.
I like that one, Petey. Where'd you come out?
We might put that on his shirt too,
Petey.
Holy shit!
He's all excited now. We haven't heard from him in an hour. Now he's throwing a couple of bombs out there.
The captain was talking. I'm going to respect him.
All right.
He's the guest. You know what I mean? He's talking good stuff over here.
We got to get the captain over because I got a lot of stuff coming up here.
What do you got?
Got to get him over to 275 because I got a lot of stuff.
He wasn't at 275. He was
at
302.
302.
He went to 302. You know who's going to chime in? What's his name over
I
there?
just want to mention in ladder 5, there's 2 guys, Bobby Davis, John Santor, who we lost on 9/11. Like I said, routine all the time. They were always ready to go to work because, like I said, down there, the buildings humbled you. And, we didn't go to a lot of fires, but some of the worst fires I ever went to were down there. And I learned a lot down there. I learned about real standby. First time I went into an elevator, it actually worked. Fireman service actually worked. Nothing worked. If I won 20, I was walking up 20 flights of stairs.
And
it didn't smell like piss.
Yeah, it smelled good when you went in there.
Tommy Frizzalone, he gets promoted. He comes to the first division, as everyone did. Pete Lowax, Louisi, we all got punished. I called Louisi up. I said, welcome to the first division. Any attempts at leaving? Add 2 years. But they wanted us down there because they had lost some guys. They wanted experienced firefighters. And I said, I get to the 3rd floor, 4th floor in Brooklyn. I can still jump to, maybe survive. He said, we need guys down here with fire experience. I said, all right, I can get you to the Firefly. I don't know what's going to happen here, but phenomenal companies down there. They don't get the respect that they really should.
My brother was, when he got promoted to lieutenant, all he worked was in Brooklyn and Queens. He said his first job, he was a lieutenant at 55 engine, was a sub baseman. And he says his ass was puckering, man. He just kept walking down and walking down and walking down. And fire was in sub basement.
Yeah, I'm out on that. I'm
out.
Subway fires. We had like a 3rd alarm in a subway because somewhere near like Houston and maybe 2nd Avenue, there's a storage area down there. Roaring. And we had another one up in, we pull up to Union Station with the 2nd or 3rd dude there. Black smoke coming out of the station. We had to go down, find the fire. You can't
talk to nobody. You start going down 2 levels, then you can't even talk to anybody because the radios aren't working, the relay sucks. It's fucking a pain in the ass.
I would recommend anybody that wants to go up the ranks, you got to do some time in either the 1st or 3rd divisions because you polish yourself up. You get the fire duty and where we worked, but then you got to take it to there where they need it because it's harder to work in a slower company because you get a little rusty. Yeah. For example, there was probably a 6-7 month period. I didn't see a puff of smoke. 24 hours. Middle of the day tour, we're up on Carmine Street, and a box comes in, it's 2 blocks away. You pull up, there's a restaurant on the 1st floor, and I'm looking.
You don't even see anything.
All of a sudden, I'm looking at the window. I go, why is that window black? I go up to it. It's rolling black smoke. I go, oh shit, it's a fire, you know. That's how far you go from going to a fire just about every tour to you don't see a puff of smoke for months.
Right.
Times more, you know. So
like you say, those are dangerous jobs, man. They really, you know, the Deutsche Bank, all of those jobs.
What was good down there was, you know, you're in the village, and we used to go 10-8 every night. At around 11 o'clock at night, you'd hear engine 24, 10-8, engine 33, ladder 9, 10-8. We'd all hang out on Bleecker, you know, taking pictures, tourist stuff. But what I did, I told the guys, I said, on your way into work, pick out a building down here, and we'll go out, and we'll look at it for an hour, and then
we'll go hang out. Right.
At the time, by the time we were done, it was already midnight. That was how much to learn. And the guys got into it. And they got into the job. Like when I first got there, I was like getting frustrated. Like, you know, they just didn't seem to catch on. So this one day we get a run with a company, and the first new company brings in roll-ups. And I'm looking at it, it's a stretch, you know, fire escapes. So one of the guys goes to me, Cap, isn't that a stretch? You go, I just got knocked out. You tell me. It's a stretch. I go, all right, so what do? You got to go to the backstop, give it a stretch. It was like a light bulb finally went off. They started getting it, getting the questions and stuff. But
we talk about that. We talk about that all the time on the show, how tough it is for guys around the country to stay motivated, or if they're young and into it, and the old guys are not motivated because they don't do so much work. You know, how do you keep motivated? How do you keep drilling? Yeah. Right, it's tough.
You got to find a way to make the drill happy. I could tell you one. We're on a 6-story building on Mundane Lane, whatever the hell it's called, and I'm giving roof drill. You know, teaching the guys what to do on the roof. All of a sudden, they're all staring at this other building. And I go, guys, what's up, Cap? Turn around. I turn around, and
there's a pair of jumpies.
There's a guy with 2 girls, and they're all naked. I go, drill's over.
Nice.
Drill's over.
So you spent 10 years down there at 24?
10 years.
That's a long time.
Well,
decade, man.
I tried to get out. I tried to transfer. I kept putting papers in for Brooklyn. I said, you know what? Maybe they don't want me in Brooklyn. So I put in actually 275. And the order comes. I know, keep that quiet. The order comes and nobody goes. Okay. They called down the four or five of us that had our paper in to a meeting down at headquarters, and we're in there. Gancey's in there, and the guy that called me in 290 that you're never going to get, you know, I don't want to see your face on it. He's in there. First guy comes out is Bobby Boyce. He goes, I'm not getting 275. I'm getting ladder 111. I go, oh, great.
Yeah.
Next guy, Tommy Hour comes out, and he's like, oh, your friend's in there. So I walk in, and they ask me, so why do you want to go to Queens? I go, well, I want to expand my experience. I never really fought fires in private dwellings. So this particular boss, staff chief goes, are you on a chief's list? I go, no. He goes, all right. Well, you could be a chief. You could be a deputy chief. You could be a borough commander. You ain't leaving Manhattan as long as I'm alive. And he died on 9/11. So, but I don't want to mention no names. Yeah. So now 9/11 came, and we were hit hard. It was horrible. And I like to tell this story because it's a little bit of fun. On 9/11, the day before, and I do plumbing work, so I get an emergency call, and my son just been out of the Marine Corps, and he's doing plumbing work, and I call him up. You got any days? He goes, yeah, Tuesday, the 11th, I'm free. I go, okay. So I call up this guy, Greg Hansen, who was lieutenant. He's now a chief in the 2nd Battalion. Greg, can you work for me too? Yeah, no problem. So I come out of my house. I'm in Valley Stream. It must have just happened. It's like 5. I could see the column of smoke, and I go, what the hell? That must be an oil refinery or something in New Jersey. Turn the radio on, and I go, that's a terror attack. And I take off. So I get to the Williamsburg Bridge, and I see the South Tower collapse. And make a long story short, we get to the firehouse. Everybody's coming in. We load up my pickup truck, everything we could think we could take of. And we're about 5 blocks away. We pulled over. It was just a mob of people running, and it probably would save us. And all of a sudden, I hear boom, like a hurricane. we got buried in the soot, and then after we cleared up, we found an American LaFrance volley unit from the Bronx. So we used that pumper, and we just marched our way down. Out of the smoke comes a lieutenant from 217. He's the first guy I see, and he's a mess. He's cut up and everything. And the next guy is a guy from 24 Engine. And he's going, they're all dead. They're all dead. And I'm like, I just go back to the fire, walk up to the fire. So what we found out later on was Lieutenant Hanson and 24 and 30 and ladder 5 made it up to the 35th floor.
Wow.
And ladder 5 was evacuating a handicapped woman. So now as they're going down, they're in that stairwell where we found everybody. They get down to about the 16th floor, and it's jam-packed. Hanson, who had heard an ESU cop come down and said, get out, the South Tower collapsed. So he goes to Mike Wacola, his last tour, retiring.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and he goes, I'm going to try this other stairway because it wasn't that crowded. He goes, the Mike goes, all right, we're going to stay here. We're going to get this woman out, or we're going to die trying. And he did. But now, 24, they go down the other stairway. They make it all the way down to where the lobby was. I think it's Rescue 3 and 33 engines sitting there. They go, there's no way out. So Greg goes, all right, we got to get out of here. So they climb over, and he sees a light, and there's a cop down there. This way out. They come out to the plaza. You know, the plaza there where the little globe was.
Yep.
They're all walking out, and down comes the North Tower. It's a miracle. All 7 of them ran 7 different ways. One guy, Danny Sterling, jumped off, broke his ankle or something down in the street, saved his life because if he had ran 10 feet more, an Ivy would hit him. They all said if we were 5 feet this way or that way, we'd be dead. They all survived. And because of that, we got to know the story of the 30.
Right.
Turned out to be good. And the other sad story of that day was this guy, Vinny Giamona. He was a fireman in 103. Fireman in 103.
But he was a 5-truck officer, right?
Yes, he was on the captain's list. He was a lieutenant. He just got off. He's on the phone with his wife. She's calling him happy birthday. It was his 40th birthday or whatever it was. And he's on the phone, and she goes, he goes, yeah, I'll be home in a little bit. You know, great. And oh, wait a second, something just happened. I'll call you back. We never found him. We never found him. Sad. So, but anyway, that's it.
Yeah.
So now, we're going through the pile. So it comes around January. We get a job. It might have been in the Deutsche Bank. I can't remember. It was down by the Deutsche Bank. And I come out. I'm bleeding from my lung. I'm spitting blood up. Make a long story short, they were going to put me out of the job for my lungs, which eventually they did. But what happens was I failed the methylcholine.
Yeah.
So they said, all right, you're going to be out. I go, I got a firehouse that's in shambles. So what happened was they changed the criteria because so many guys were failing this thing. They said, all right, you're borderline. We're going to put you on light duty. So I go downtown. The only job they have for a captain is headquarters. Me and headquarters don't get along. I called Dr. Present. I said, doctor, remember the guy that shot the... Yeah. I said, you got to put me back or put me out because I'll end up killing someone down here. So he goes, okay, I want to see you in 3 months. I never went back. And I don't know if I should tell this, but...
no. So you went to 302?
Yeah. So a couple of years go by, 2004. My parents were very old. My mother was dementia. My father had horrendous heart problems. I had to get closer to home. 302 opened up. I called up and I got 302. My first day tour there. My first 24. Night tour, we get a job. Back in the shit again, you know. Day tour, we pull up. The guys were saying, be careful of basement fires around here because, you go down. Fowler died in a little basement, 20 by 40. We get this job. First go down the bay. Guys do a great job. We're knocking all the fire down. And all of a sudden, I go, 302, I think we got it knocked down. He goes, it's blowing out the rear. And I'm like, I go to the back of I'm feeling the wall. The wall's hot. Well, what had happened was they had cut a hole in the foundation, put a door there, extended the back as a storage room over the kitchen. The kitchen was an extension. So, yeah, the fire was knocked down in the original basement. You couldn't even get through this thing. Now the fire's rolling over our head. We can't hit the seat of it. I'm down there dying, and I'm going to die in a 20 by 40 fucking base.
In a dollhouse. In a shed.
Yeah. Hot, nasty fires. Like here's how I explain Queens. 10 minutes of hell and an hour in the shower. Nasty fires. Thinking about the dollhouse, we get a job one time. Second alarm was two PDs going up by 303. So as we're taking up, we didn't really do much there, whatever we were. And I hear 103 acting 155. I go, wow, what are they doing in the tower? That's great. So now I take my rescue makeup, I put it on, get there, I pull up and I get out the rig, the soot all up. Freddie Gallagher goes, don't even try. We pass it. It's a fucking dog. I go, hey, you got to give me credit for trying, So, but what a great company. A lot of guys from 290, 103 went there. Buddy Cleary.
Cleary, yeah.
Cleary. What do you call it? John Stack from 103. He was a lieutenant there.
A lot of guys go out there from 165, right? 165 has a bunch of guys. Dave Barry and
great companies. 303, 126, 317, 298.
Oh, 317 has a bunch of guys too, right?
Yeah, so let's talk about your hate for Squad 270 then. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Not a hate. Like I said, every firehouse would love to have those 25 people in their house. What it is I'm in a private dwelling. Okay?
How many guys, Cap, how many more guys can we fit in the fire building?
5 more.
At least 5 more.
Yeah, I mean, you got 2 engines, 2 trucks,
I got
squad, rescue. I remember I was on a second alarm, and I forgot who the chief was, and we were standing fast, and I'm looking in. The whole room, the first floor is packed. Each guy had about 2 square feet, and they're all pulling. I go to the chief. I go, is this necessary? Look at this. Well, the reason behind it was, with all the guys we lost in 9/11 in the rescues and the squads, they took some great senior men and put them in there, and they had to get them work. So they were letting them. But now it's too many people in the buildings. Too many people. Someone's going to get hurt, and that's just my experience. We all want to be in there. You're not going to be in all the time.
Tony, a little bird.
A little bird. I like
me. And what was the story with the 270? You had an issue with a fight with the 270, but there was a letterhead, a printed letterhead that came that it was on a department letterhead. Something about you know what I'm talking about? I know.
I had a few letterheads from
something about going to anger management or something like that.
Vaguely, yeah.
I don't know. One of the birds, I mean, when he told me the story, I was rolling. It was something about anger management. You had to go down with your class A's or something like that. And you're like, holy shit. But I guess it all becomes a blur when you get all these letters all the time.
When I was in 24 Region, I get a phone call from Mike Manley from 113, right? He's running for Brooklyn delegate or something. And we had just taken over EMS. He calls me up. Tony, I go, yeah, what's up? He goes, you mother effer. You ever write something like that? I'll come down there. I'll show you what you are, tough. I go, what are you talking about? Don't deny it, you bastard. It goes on and on. And I'm sitting there. What are you talking about? He goes, you wrote that letter about me being a coward because I want to get EMS. I should not use that word, coward.
Come on, what's the matter with you?
Again, what's the matter for you?
So I'm sitting there, he's ranting and raving. I go, hold on a second. You're from 113. I'm from 290. We both said at the same time, Jimmy Ritchie, Commander Slander. He wrote a letter downtown, signed my name saying that Mike Manley's a coward. He said nothing stuff. So that was one letter.
What letter are you talking about, Ruffy?
So there was a letter that he got into a fight with a guy from 270, probably something similar we were just talking about, and they sent him somebody, a company close by, made up an anger management. They had to attend the anger management class on letterhead, and they signed it by whoever the chief of the department was. So it was But and then you had something here. What else would I get? Who's Tuggy?
Chauffeur in 275.
Is it
Second
Tuggy
dude,
guy
302. Second dude to 302. Tuggy's a good guy, a good man. And my son's now in 275. My former son. But
Oh, that's right. That's right. He's a lieutenant there?
He's a lieutenant.
He's a lieutenant now?
Yeah. He started in 255.
Oh, he's living your dream.
Where was he a fireman?
255, 157.
I wonder how he got there. That's amazing.
I've never done this before.
I made a call to see if I said to him, well, he was a DI in his class, and I said to him, I'm not going to make any phone calls if you're in the bottom of a 300 class. But he was like number 7 or something like that. So I made a phone call, and all I said was, I want him to go to the 401 battalion. Why? Because I don't think anyone over there knows me. Well, I was wrong about that, but he. So the day the order's coming down, I'm going, wait a second. Oh, I call Moriarty. He was chief of assignments, whatever. I go, Eddie, how's it going? He goes, good. I go, where's my son going? He goes, he's going to go to the 401. I go, 250's in the 401. He goes, don't worry about it. He's going to either go to 248 or 255. So I hang up. I'm saying, I break every rule in the book. I call Castano directly.
Oh,
I go, Chief.
Sal?
Yeah, roughly. I go, Chief, I know I'm breaking every protocol. I said, listen, my son did 8 years in the Marine Corps. He was 100 and what actually saved him was when they put EMS, he didn't come on until January of 02, which who knows what would have happened if he was around on 9/11. So, and I go, I just want to get him, and he goes, he's going to 255. Don't worry about it. So, but that was the last phone call I made. When he made lieutenant, I said, if I call for you, you're going to end up in Fire Island somewhere. They're not going to. So, but yeah, he's doing good. And of course, he goes there. Guess who becomes the captain of 157?
Guy from 290, I believe.
No, the guy from Rescue 2 that we had.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Really?
So my son goes, what do? I go, pick his brains. A great Firehouse. If he gets out of hand, smack him around a little.
Like father, like son.
Well, who's the captain there now?
Oh, I don't have no idea now. I don't know.
Louis,
He's long gone.
you're all broken there, Louis.
Oh, really?
Sorry, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, will you pay your goddamn bill? All that money? You're not paying your bill, for Christ's sake? Oh,
Come
there
on,
you go.
upgrade. Upgrade to Firehouse, you son of my gun.
Get some 5G over there, will you son of a bitch?
Oh, boy.
Let's see if he pops
So-
back in.
Maybe he does his
Yeah,
phone.
wait.
No, go ahead, man.
All right, we're at 302.
So now we're at
Great.
302.
Great
Here we go.
Firehouse. Yeah.
There he is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Great Firehouse. Constant work, consistent work. Oh, you'll get your slow periods, but if you send a kid there, he's going to see work. It's just that it's predominantly private dwellings, taxpayers, a couple of 6-story buildings, but it's not as diverse as say Brooklyn or Manhattan, but excellent companies. They do a lot of work, and they're spread out. I mean, I remember getting a phone alarm one time, and it's up by, I think what 298 was, but they're all out, and I don't even know the streets. There's all kinds of crazy streets, and but I could see the smoke. I said, just follow the smoke. Just start heading that way up. You'll find it, Yeah.
I've heard that.
If you had if you had, say, an all hands going into 13th, I mean, half the division's already out. I mean, they're so far spread out. It's amazing. Yeah. But you want to talk about pranks, right? You'd think you'd learn your lesson with 30-something years in the job. A couple of tours in a row, we're having enchiladas. What the fuck is enchiladas? So I go, I complain to the guys. I go, enchiladas again. I go, if you take your wife out to dinner, you buy enchiladas? Oh, what's the matter, Cap? I go, I don't want fucking enchiladas no more. Well, what an idiot I was. My next tour, I come in.
Enchiladas.
The whole Firehouse was decorated in Mexican palm trees. They had a poncho for me, a hat with balls.
The poncho, I like.
I said, all right, you're right. I put that there. I wish I had the picture.
Yeah, how do you not know that?
I slipped up. It's like Captain of 113, Mike Finnemore. They made hot dogs for lunch. He goes, I don't want hot dogs. For the next year and a half,
Yeah, hot
they made
dogs.
meatloaf out of hot dogs. Everything was hot dogs. When he retired, they got him a truckload of Trun's hot dogs, and they came wheeling in with the hot dogs.
Just say,
Like 290 one time. There was a lieutenant there that was, they weren't loving the truck. And they had just knocked the buildings down. The guys put a hurricane fence. They have the parking lot, where the parking lot is on the right.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of bricks in the yard from the buildings that were torn down. So he comes out, come on, guys, let's clean up the lot. He grabs a few of the younger guys. The other guys just staring there like a fucking asshole. This guy. It took him all day, or 2 days, whatever it was. They threw all the bricks out. They raked the yard. It's beautiful.
they put the brick back in there.
With fuck you, so-and-so on every brick. 2,000 bricks. This is the effort that they would go through to break your hearts. Another one, one of the guys used to be well liked by the ladies. He used to get phone calls all night long. So Mike Stein, great electrician, he taps into the outside phone. We're all in the kitchen. And it's like a freaking sex talk, So he's talking to her. We're in the kitchen. We're howling, right? Now he walks in the kitchen. We all start repeating what he was going. Beatman, how do you know that? You never knew that Mike tapped in the speakers to the outside phone.
Holy shit!
Oh my God, they're crazy. But like another incident in 290 was, they have their little who could take a feed in the kitchen, and the whole firehouse is charged with smoke. Right. So the next night till I'm working, smoke could get in the firehouse. I go, what are these assholes doing downstairs? This is it. Slide the pole. The firehouse is filled with smoke. Hey, guys, what's going on? I go, oh, this is coming from outside. We open the doors. The street's filled with smoke. All right, let's get on the rig. So it was more smokier to the right. We go down. You can't see a thing. There's a guy walking by. I go, where's the fire? I go, you got a good one. Alabama and Riverdale. All right, turn the corner. It's a 4-story building. Fire out every window. 290 to Brooklyn. Anything out for Hinsdale and whatever. Alabama? Negative. I go, transmit a second alarm. People walking, it was so routine to see a burning building, they didn't bother calling. It was insanity, And then you go to Manhattan where it's civilization, whatever you want to call it. So.
Cigarette in the street, they're calling you for smoke in the street or something.
Yeah, I had a second alarm in a window frame.
Yeah.
No, I'm not shitting you. Second alarm in a window frame in a Disney building.
Yeah, we had 40 floors of heavy smoke. And it was a sub-cellar. It was an electrical panel about this big, but the black smoke generator went up all the vents, and it was like a third alarm evacuating people. I think they put the fire out with a can. My first high-rise fire in 24 and 5. I'm going downtown. It looked like the end of the world. Same thing. I pull in. I go into the lobby, and who's there? Mike Stein from 103. He's the what do you call it? Whatever he was doing there, fire command, whatever. Buddy Cleary, who's a fireman, and he's a battalion chief, and Richie Bourbon, who's the deputy. They're all from 103. I looked at them and go, I'm not listening to you guys. I'll find my way up there. And it turned out, being a ghetto firefighter, I had the little half-inch nozzle. There was a problem with water. The fire was probably the size of a 5x5 room. Black smoke. I put my little half-inch tip on, got enough of a stream, we put the fire out. We looked like heroes. But
nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy stories there. So 302, lots of laughs. And the other thing with 290, you go home every tour, your face hurt from laughing.
There he is. That's a 302 picture.
Yeah, that's a 302 picture. So, raining down on me.
Yeah, man.
How long were you there, Cap? You were there 10 years in 302?
8 years.
8 years.
From
retired in 2012.
Right. 12. Yep.
Where is this?
That's a fire in some PD there. The guy in the middle, we'll just call him the buffoon.
Mm-hmm.
And I know he's listening tonight. There's your call out. There you go.
There's a call.
Guy there?
Well, huh?
He's the guy there? No.
What's that?
Was he the senior guy there?
No. He wasn't.
All I know is he better be subscribing to the channel tonight if he's in there. That's all.
Oh, he's watching. So my last night tour, when I go to retire, they throw a party. This guy took pictures. You did not want to do something. He taking pictures everywhere. he had 3 years of me sleeping, whether it was at EEO unit or drill, something like this. So the night I retired, they make up a big poster with a collage of about 50 pictures of me sleeping, drooling. Congratulations, Captain Tough Tony VARRIALE. They crossed.
Oh, Tough Tony!
Nice.
That's freaking great.
So they crossed off Tough Tony, put Tired Tony.
Oh, shit,
Oh,
that's
my
freaking
God.
great.
Yeah.
Love it, man. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
My face.
Oh, 150. Pete, is it getting close to that time, brother?
It's very close to that time, my friend.
This guy's got a lot. I think Cap's got a lot of them tonight, bro.
What's that? Yeah.
You know what time it is, Pete. Give it to him.
Cap, you know what time it is too? Because it's time for the old school tip of the day.
Yep. Okay, so some very basic stuff that you can say. I got a couple of 1 or 2 engine things, 1 or 2 truck things. Is what is this here? How stretching? Oh, so if you're stretching a line down the street, be careful that you don't get the butts caught on tires or the curb, and stretch it down on the opposite side of the building so you can go in without glass coming down. Guys stand in front of the building under the windows, the glass comes down. If you're standing fast, stay back from the building. Simple little thing like this. Cellar fires, and when you're in a private dwelling area or even brownstones, always look for that smoke coming from the side, coming up from, or if you're a taxpayer, the floor is hot, you got a fire below you. If you don't see anything coming out, then you got to be concerned about that concrete floor collapsing. If you're in the truck and you got the rope, you go into the roof. Okay, it's a 6-story building. Part of your size up is I got 6 stories, so now you got 150-foot life rope. You get to the building, now in Manhattan, the building could be 200 feet deep. Your substantial object is 70 feet back. So you're already 70. So you might be, if you had to lower someone down, you're dangling 20 feet. Something to be aware of. Yeah, you can rectify that by maybe, if you have time, to cut open the hole in the roof and tie it around a beam, something like that. But the one thing that you have to do is 2 things. Number 1, ask questions. I don't care if you're a probie with 1 day on the job or your last day, 35 years. You're always learning on this job. Evolutions are changing, buildings are changing, materials are changing. When I first got on, the guys didn't wear masks, and it was right around the time when they started introducing plastics into the job. And the old timers, I can't take a feed no more. Well, it's because of plastics. We used to go in, if you saw smoke, you never hit it. 10 years later, every fire was black smoke. Black smoke in the 70s meant it was an arson job. They were using carbon-based accelerants. Now with the thermopane windows and plastics, everything's black today. Every fire, black smoke. You get into that hallway, the project, something that's door or the apartment's open, the hallway's hot, it's black. You might have to hit that smoke a little just to cool it down so you can advance. But probably the best advice I can tell anyone is always ask questions. You're on the rig, you're coming back, you see something in the building. How would I get there if I was the roof man? What would the nozzle mean? How would I stretch? You're the control man. This is probably one of the most important things. The guy in the engine who's the control man usually says, fuck, I'm not going to get in there. Well, you pull up, you got to estimate how far you are from the front of the building, how many lengths. You want to know, there's a well. Well, how you get on your radio, whatever engine control to the officer, do we have a well? How far is it from the front door to the stairwell? It could be 2 lengths, could be a half length. These are some of the things you got to know to estimate your stretch. And you always want to have at least a length on the fire floor. Flake it out whether you got to go up the stairs, because the worst thing in the fire department is stretching short. And I want to bring in the Kevin Kane fire, which I was first due at. We were down to 4-man engines, and we get this top floor fire, and 290 was first due, 236 was second. Everybody was out that would have normally been there. So we go up the line, we get into our fire department, we got a full room of fire. And I remember looking back and I see 236's line. They're going to the adjoining apartment, which L-shaped around us. And I see it stretched like a rubber band. And right at that point, boom, a collapse. Mayday, mayday, mayday. We got a fireman down. I thought someone came from the roof, but it happened to be this L-shaped apartment. The first due truck was a relocator. They went in, and just before that, I remember saying, we got fire in the cock loft. Transmit a second alarm. And then the mayday happened. They went into the room, they punched a hole in it, and they could see fire out there. And they said, all right, let's get out of this room, get the engine in here. The officer and the ironsman come out. The roof collapses. The ceiling collapsed because it was a weird made building, and Kevin's trapped in there. In the study, he was trapped in there anywhere from 15 to 30 seconds. Now think about that. You're burning 1 minute, 2, 3. 236 was trying to turn. The line got hooked up on the floor below, where, if we had a fifth man, that would be his position. If that had happened with a fifth man, we would have been saying this guy didn't do his job. So we actually proved that in a study by a state PESH, I think it was, and it was always a sticker in my head. If, that if you got to cover your positions, and that was a position we lost, and in my opinion, it cost the life of Kevin Kane. Same thing, just little mistakes. 1978, John McKenna, 34 truck, I was at that fire, and they were up on the roof, top floor fire, and they were getting off the roof because the roof was starting to come down, whatever, I don't remember exactly. And he left something, whether it was an irons or a hook, I don't remember. He runs back to get the tool. And a little basic, simple thing, when the roof is compromised, you hang along the edges. He walked right over the hospital, came down on the top floor, got severely burned, and he died on St. Patty's Day, 79, I believe it was. And this Kevin Kane fire, when I saw Kevin out, they had him in a schoolyard waiting for a helicopter to come, and he was burnt just as bad as John. John suffered for 2 or 3 weeks, and I said a prayer right there. I said, this kid's got to go. Take him, Lord. Don't let him suffer. And fortunately, he would have been suffering. He passed away the next day. But little things, little simple things. The butt gets hung up on the stairwell, walking over the soft part on the roof. Like I said, the best point I can give anybody is you ask questions. What's the worst we can say to you? Shut up. You're getting on my nerves, whatever.
Right.
But what happened, I remember when I was in the Bronx one time, and I saw an old salty captain going on. I asked a question, and he goes, kid, let me tell you something. There's 6 of us on this rig. One of us will get it right. And he said to me that day, you ask questions. I don't care how stupid it is. That's the worst we can tell you. Shut the F up. And I teach that to my guys all the time. I don't care what it is. Ask. It could be stupid. It could be a point. And I tell the guys, when we go out to a job, I'm in charge. I'll give you the orders. We get back. We critique it. I don't care if you got 6 weeks in the job. If you point out something and I go, wow, that's the way we should have did it.
Yeah,
I have no problem because it's going to make all of us better at it. And like the guys in 103, like Frank Poser, I remember him saying one time, you're the OV in the truck and you go to a job and, you find your way to the rear or whatever it is. He goes, if you don't second guess that you should have went another way, then you're not a thinking fireman. You just always push yourself to be better, to be more knowledgeable. Because, when I first got on the job, my first year, they lost 11 guys in the city. And as time goes on and, you don't go to a fatal fire, we get lackadaisy, we get a little rusty. And, there was an old saying in 82 and 31, this could be the night. You never know. You go out that door, you ain't coming back. Yep. The more you know, the more you prepare to be ready. Always be ready, even if it's a freaking annoying class 3 all the time or an ERS no contact. Look at that ERS no contact.
Murphy likes to show up, Cap.
Yes, he does.
Oh,
always be prepared. Ask questions. The more you know, the safer it is for everybody.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Very
Great
good.
job.
Yeah.
Cap, thanks. Excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And,
you still have
one
the
last
passion
word.
you still have the passion for the job. It comes out in everything you say.
The last word I got to say is dedication. That is the word to use for the firefighters of New York City. Probably, and because tonight I met firefighters from all over the world. We're all the same breed. We're all the same. They're very, mostly simple, non-assuming people that are the salt of the earth. Met some of the greatest people in my life in the fire department, and we lost some of the greatest people in the fire department. But to them, for the things that they're starting to say, it's just sickening.
Yeah.
They should know the kind of people that are there. They give their soul to save somebody. So
I'll say it again. Ordinary men doing extraordinary deeds.
absolutely, and here we go to them.
That's
To those that we lost.
Well done, Tone. Nice job, Cap.
Thank you. I hope I helped out a little.
Cap, great job. Great job.
Thank you.
Yep.
My face hurts.
I know, right? From laughing.
Yeah.
Next time, I got a couple more.
Coming out of the firehouse, right?
That's it. I got a couple more from Pisano, but I'll get you on those at a later time.
I've been getting texts by him all day. Tell him this, tell him that. And I go, I don't know who you are. I'm telling him, who is this? I don't recall.
Yeah. No,
I'm taking the fifth. I plead the fifth.
That's it.
Exactly.
So what do we got going on, Kev?
You got any shout outs, Ruffy?
No, I don't have anything today.
All right, so I'm going to lay out a few. I got a couple of questions for the wife show. We really want to get that together. So please send the questions. Make sure they're proper. Don't get out of hand. Send some good questions. And what we were talking about was I'll be here in studio here with my wife. Louis will be with his wife. And I don't know if Chief Steve will be here at his house with his wife. And Petey will be asking the questions. So get those questions in for the wife show if you want to see the perspective of a firefighter's wife, what it's like living with a FDNY firefighter. Also, we have coming up the anniversary for the first World Trade Center bombing is coming up. And we are going to get two guys who actually worked that day. We got one who working on another, right, Ruffy?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much a done deal, but
All right, so that's going to be back in the day, and also Q&A, and I think that's all I got. I want to thank the Cap for coming on. Everything I heard from other guys, outstanding. I talked to Cucurulo tonight. He was like, "That guy broke me in. He's a great guy." Ferran said the same thing.
Oh, Mark.
Yeah,
John Plant.
Yeah.
So, I could spend the next 6 months talking about some phenomenal people,
Well, we'll have to have you on a call to the bullpen. We'll have to have him back for a second show.
Yeah.
You got anything else, Ruff? Is that it?
No, that's it, kid.
All right. Pete.
Yeah, boys. Well, if you guys are listening to this podcast on iTunes Podcast, Spotify, or wherever fine audio podcasts are found, you should also head on over to youtube.com/ no, that's the wrong one. youtube.com/ Gettin Salty Experience, where you take your filthy booger hook and take it off the bang switch and hit the like, the subscribe, and the share button.
We're almost at 14,000.
Yeah, man. The more you guys tell the YouTube algorithm you dig us, the more we get out there to you. Also, guys, head on over to Instagram, of course, where you'll find us at Salty Dog Inc., curating the hottest fire photos, and the saltiest ones, of course. Mr. Refrano there is doing that every day and putting out last bit information for the show, contests, and whatnot. And also, guys, head on over to gettingsaltyapparel.com, where you find t-shirts like this, all kinds of firefighter apparel and accessories. Last but not least, email us your questions at gettingsaltyexperience@gmail.com. Lou, there was a very excited fellow in the chat tonight who was saying that he really has some good suggestions for future guests on the show, and everyone directed him directly to you.
Delete.
and he goes, no, what? I'll email him. I'll email what?
Delete.
What?
Oh, Petey, you know what?
Yeah.
The True North giveaway. It's on till Sunday night.
That's right.
contest for 5 bags. Right?
I'll post it up again this week.
And then I'll just read this link out. It's a little wonky, but bear with me, guys. It's http://bit.ly/getting salty _decon giveaway. So I'll put that in the chat. But you guys just head on over to True North Gear, look for the contest, and that's truenorthgear.com. We're going to give 5.
Cap, how much do firemen like free things? Oh my God, free.
What's that?
How do firemen like free things? They love free shit, don't they?
Free hearing aids.
They try to say that we're frugal with the same piece.
No, they just like free.
True, that's true.
All right, boy. That's the
All
end.
right,
of it.
Cap,
All right. Thank you for everything, man. It was a pleasure. It was a lot of fun. My face hurts.
everybody,
Thank
don't
you.
forget to email Louis. And I appreciate the Cap coming on. And that's it.
I hope I gave a little background on what the job is like for those that don't know it.
Yes, Cap, your passion for the job comes through in everything you say. It really does. So
Yeah.
appreciate it. All right, fellas, stay low and go.
All
Stay
right.
low, let it blow.
That's it. See you at the big one.
You got it.
See you later, guys.